Hey everyone, it's Futzy Smite, and today we're talking Smite 2. This is going to be my deep dive, my reaction to some of the more controversial things going on in the community, and it's kind of bizarre because Smite 2 has taken over in a way. We hit mainstream. I mean, when people like Asmongold are covering the game, it should make you turn your head a little bit, right? And so we're just gonna jump right into it. It's about time I tackled this, and we're just gonna talk about the three main reactions that, you know, I noticed in the Smite community, and I'll get to the things I'm most excited for and then in Smite 2 as well at the end of this. But first we're going to talk about the probably tiniest group of people but the loudest opinions, and that is the people that scream, you know, screw it, my skins are gone, which we'll dissect that. And then we've got the number 2, you know, hey, why is Smite 2? And then we've got number 3, the yes, finally, which I think is the biggest group of people and the group I'm most biased towards. So we'll just jump into the first category of people saying like, oh, screw it, well, you know, my skins are gone. And I just want to say, like, I get it. I'm practically Bake Kujira. I'm a whale. I've bought like over 900 skins in the game. I've bought in. I'm a happy customer as far as the Smite skin economy goes, and I just want to say I get it. It sucks. I'm attached to a lot of those skins, and I think everybody who has nearly as many skins as I do, or people who have more, close to 1,600 skins, are very sad, and they have every reason to be sad. But I just want to say I don't understand what most of us expected, right? Because it gets to be an issue with me when I see people act like we deserve those skins, when none of that was ever promised. And I know people like Intersect and even Asmongold did touch on that in their videos, and we were never promised. In fact, like year 10 came around and I was already praying. I was like, oh gosh, like year 10's a perfect year for them to end things on. They could have just, you know, cleaver, wham, done, and they didn't. And that's really exciting because we get to play the skins we love a little longer until Smite 2, I think, really becomes the main focus and the main place to go for your Smite enjoyment. And I don't understand some of the people's like entitlement towards those skins. So, and not that I don't understand it, I just think it shouldn't go very far beyond oh man, and then you kind of just have to get excited. I think the core Smite community will adapt and kind of get over it and just accept it and move to Smite 2, but it does kind of stink, and I understand that. So I think some other people have been talking about other games that showcase this issue, but they're all a bit unique. You know, I think obviously microtransactions are a money sink. I feel justified when I buy a skin in Smite and I play it and I get my enjoyment from that. That's my satisfaction loop. That justifies it for me. I'm okay with it. It's, you know, that is perfectly fine. And I'm okay with doing that, but it's not like I'm ever going to get a return on my investment, or it's something that I like can influence outside of my control. Like if they just shut down servers, that'd be it. You know, that'd be it. And there are other games like, you know, Assassin's Creed or FIFA and 2K and all these other games you can buy stuff in, and it's not, you know, year to year. Their games have microtransactions again, but none of that stuff crosses over. I know Smite 10's a bit, I mean, Smite is, whoa. I know Smite's a bit unique because it's been running for 10 years, but it just kind of makes sense. And it sucks, but it makes sense. And that's kind of my main point. Yes, it sucks. It makes sense. And I think if you say it doesn't make sense, you are a bit delusional. So, yeah. And I don't think that my last point here is this really worse than Smite 2's potential? Like, if this upsets you to the point where you don't even care about Smite 2, I think it's, I mean, honestly, you're doing yourself a disservice. The potential that Smite 2 can bring is, should be so exciting. It's so exciting that, you know, the skin debacle kind of, you know, falls off after a little bit. And we'll get to that. But yeah, that's just kind of I'm not going to talk about it much more. You know, you can watch other content creators videos. They dive deeper into this. It would take too long to bring all those skins over. And the way that they're honoring us with the legacy gems is more than acceptable to me. I mean, they're a business, right? And they have to kind of make money. And I'll talk about that here in a second. But on to the second group, the why Smite 2. And I had a few friends, like I said, kind of ask me, hey man, like they don't play as much as I do. And they're like, why Smite 2? And I would tell them, like, this is really our chance to make Smite feel modern in a modern gaming like ecosystem. Because not that Smite feels awful, it just is, there's a lot of quirks. It's not the most fluid of games. And our community was dying slowly decaying, nothing crazy. But if we just kept going, I mean, in a few years we'd be down to probably like unsustainable amount of people. Not quickly, but there's always going to be diminishing returns, and this really gives us a chance to bring a whole new slew of people in. People that have never even heard of Smite, people that have tried Smite but for whatever reason didn't stay. And that's a huge opportunity. We were never going to see that bump in players like we did with like the pandemic, and we've been bleeding ever since then. We're just never going to see that that jump again on our current trajectory in Smite. Even though the latest season is pretty sick with teleporters and meteors and all that, I'm having a lot of fun. But it's just a chance to make Smite feel modern and cater to a wider audience, and hopefully retain that audience. So, and also I did mention skins on a whole different level. I think you should be excited about the skins in Smite 2 as well. I have an example of the mirror skin they showed off at the end. Stay tuned for that, it's sick. But also just quicker innovation and bug fixes. I had to explain to people that, like, the Smite players have to deal with bugs like the pause menu showing F6 instead of F10 for like 4 months, and all this other stuff that hopefully this new engine and this new leap can just be smoother and quicker, because I think it's hindering them a lot. I mean, think about them hiring talent that has to learn an engine that came out in 2006. It's just a lot of spaghetti code. You basically get taught on these things in school, or game developers work with newer things and then have to be taught older ways. It's a bit strange, I'm sure. And just to put in perspective, I think Smite runs off of like an integrated Adobe Flash for their UI. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's pretty nuts. It's crazy. So that's what I tell people when they ask why Smite 2. I think it's just what the game needs to continue and to like go with more steam, to just continue on and be an actual asset for high res. Because at the end of the day, they're still a business. And that's kind of leads us right into the people asking if this is a cash grab. And here's my points kind of against that and for that. Listen, I'm an accounting major, and I understand that it's not a cash grab, right? There is like incentive monetarily here. There's just an incentive. But I think it's more about sustaining the community than it is about cashing in big. I don't think they plan on bringing in a lot more than Smite 1 does immediately, at least. Or it just gives them that potential while continually allowing the people who already love and play Smite to give them their money as it would continue in Smite 1 as it is now. And that's kind of what I want to hint at, right? Because with the legacy gems, we're not going to be able to buy new skins with all legacy gems. We get a 50%, I don't know. So if this is your first time hearing about it, legacy gems, every gem you've ever spent in Smite, you get back, and you can use half of your legacy gems towards any purchase of a new skin in Smite 2. So every skin is 50% off if it's a new skin in Smite 2, until you run out of those legacy gems, which is phenomenal. And I believe that and hopefully they keep to this, but they've said any skins they bring over from Smite 1, you can buy fully with your legacy gems. So it's really a great way to honor the people who have spent a lot of money in Smite. You get a 50% coupon for all your hard work and money. That's pretty awesome. Think about it. They didn't have to do that. And that's where I say they need to make money too. They can't just allow their core players to come over and buy everything with just legacy gems and then not make any money off that, because they're counting on us to really carry that to the wider audience. So, and new players aren't going to just invest right away. It's just silly. And I think, you know, I said, you know, it needs to happen. Things evolve, and I think that's just the natural course. At some point, Smite was going to have to look, you know, itself in the mirror and say, what does it want to be? Because it is showing its age. Like I said, it's not awful, but showing its age. And I kind of already talked about, you know, Smite's core audience couldn't get out scot-free. We're going to be what carries the game. You know, 50% off for all of us is pretty good. And yeah, I think if you're a dedicated Smite player, you're going to adapt to this and kind of accept that you're going to get, you know, your legacy gems, and that's the system. But that's kind of my evidence against it being purely a cash grab, right? And I have faith in Titan Forge Studios and Hi-Rez. I mean, half of their development team, not half, but 1/5 of all of them came straight from the community. And they talked about that on stage, and how, and you can tell the people during the patch notes and making the skins, they care a lot about the game. And that's more than I can say about a lot of other games that I've played, other live service games, Destiny. But yeah, anyway, this is just kind of the more exciting part of the video that I talk about things I'm pumped for in Smite 2. First off, the graphics, most notably, right? I finally have a good computer. I want to push it. I wanted to like run Smite, and I see where my character goes in shade and it gets noticeably darker, and then I'm in sunlight, and you know, like I want those little you know, attention to detail things. And I'm excited for the updated graphics and for the like added punch and effects that new lighting techniques and illumination or reflections potentially can do for my immersion in the game. Not that it's ever like a super immersive game. The tech platform is also super exciting for me. Smite needs a better backend, better infrastructure, a better way to do things like custom games and all that. And I'm really hoping that that delivers and they don't compromise on any of that. I really am excited for just a clean slate where we potentially have a smoother like UI and like server connection, and all of that stuff just has less. Speaking about servers, I really hope that they commit to having worldwide server access for people who play in like Australia and Asia and other places that just have kind of gotten the shaft with Smite servers. I don't know too much about that, but anyway, the gameplay, obviously I want that to feel more refined. I think if they deliver on the things they really promised and showcased us during their deep dive during SWC, then it will feel like a pretty proper sequel. Yeah, just pretty excited. Obviously I'm not going to touch on progression. I hope they nail progression. Progression needs to feel good to keep people. That's a pretty core part of it, of retaining your audience. This is just some excitement things I have. You know, I've been loading into the same character screen for like 8.5 years now, and things like this, little things like this excite me. So let me be excited. It's pretty sick. Just to see like the armor reflections on like her shoulder here, or Bellona's shoulder, and it's cool. I like it. It's definitely more modern looking. Maybe I like it because it's just different, but it is pretty cool, and I like it a lot. Then we jump right into some of the interesting stuff about building. It looks like we're gonna have intelligence and strength, so still in my mind kind of similar to magical and physical, but you can build anything, which is cool. They showed off crit Ymir. I mean, I don't know who that doesn't excite besides someone who doesn't want to be owned by crit Ymir, but like it just allows more flexing, more possibilities and all this other stuff if this building system is as free as they're touting it to be. And I really hope it is, because it looks super fun. I want to just bust out the wildest things, truly. So I'm not excited to have to learn a whole new system again, but I'm so willing and eager to take it on at least. So anyway, just want to quick mention that. Then we've got the gas system. They talked about how quickly they can make, you know, changes to gods and systems with the gas systems, which is the gameplay ability system, I believe. And I looked into it with the Unreal Engine 5. Apparently it is fairly new, but it's like, and it is complicated, but if you from what I could find, developers were talking about, if you start with this system and really understand it, it does so much, it leaps and bounds over like normal implementation of these things. I guess it's just a much better way to understand things and go about them. That is complicated, but once you get it down, it allows for a much more fluid system of editing, making changes, which is good because they talked about it. Sometimes it would have to go to they would have to change something, send it to programming, and it would take a few weeks to change something fairly small. So, and I get it, Smite's got a lot of moving parts, it's complicated, but hopefully this really innovates and touches on things. So matchmaking, I don't know if you play Smite like me and you're a core player, you understand the issue with matchmaking, and you're lying if you don't, because I promise you it takes me about 3 to 4 conquest games to get one like super awesome, fair, balanced game. Sure, some people have an off day, but I'm not talking about having like a bad game and losing. I'm talking, I get somebody, I've played almost 4,000 hours in the game, and just on PC, I started on Xbox, and I get somebody who's maybe like level 30, and it's, their first time out of arena and they're in my conquest game. That's all good. I'm happy to help that person, but matchmaking, I mean, come on, it really, it blows when you lose because of that, or they throw and then they get upset and they're not going to continue to play conquest if they just have a bad time, and it just sucks. But in ranked specifically, I guess you're going to get like I don't know how they're going to do it. They were kind of vague, but a rating for how good you are in that role, and that will help match up in ranked, and that's super exciting. Also, hopefully party sizes. I want to queue ranked with larger party sizes potentially, please. That's the most exciting thing about Smite is, to me, like competing well with your team, popping off with your team, kind of coordinating, and it's hard to do that. Not that you don't do that with the randoms, but it's more fun when you do it with people in a party, and I wish you could queue with maybe even just 3 people in ranked. I know that's a bit complicated. There's a whole it's just a like long shot dream of mine, but it is something I hope for. So yeah, and better wait times. Just all matchmaking is getting some attention that it badly needs. And then we've got just, expanding the player base is going to help, reviving the competition. Super excited about that. The fact that me and some of my friends can compete potentially with really good other Smite players and like LAN events, and like really bring some competition back to Smite, I would be thrilled. Truly, that's super exciting to me. It would be really, really awesome. Just a chance to interact with people from the community and more like content created around Smite, and I think that's awesome. So lastly, this is the whole skin thing, right? This is the alpha testing skin you got if you played the alpha of Smite 1, and you got this Emir skin, and then this is the skin equal to that they're giving out for Smite 2. I don't see how you can't be super excited about skins in Smite 2. Even if you were upset about losing all of them, look at this. It's unreal. It's unmatched. Not that they're a direct, it's directly made like the same. It's obvious it's the same skin, just they changed it up a bit. But like, if this is the quality of the skins coming in Smite 2, I'm popping off. I mean, I'm flinging my wallet open quite a lot because it's sick. Okay, this is what I mean when I want to play a more modern version of Smite. Like, this is what I've wanted for the game that I love so much. So I'll end it by saying the potential for more people is always a good thing. More people playing the game that I love, adding to the community, is always a blessing. And the shortfalls of losing our skins is kind of nothing compared to Smite's potential in my eyes. And I'm super excited. I hope that they deliver and give us a better back end and better matchmaking, and we do see a bump in players. So I'm Futzy Smite. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments below. Like I said, I'm a new content creator and I love interacting with you guys. So tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me, I mean, I'm willing to talk about anything. So I hope you guys are having a great day and continue to do so. With that, adios.